Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you the extra video for today, and I apologise it's not A to Z, I just kind of felt like I wanted a day off doing two commentaries, but they will return tomorrow, so don't worry. But this video is one that I didn't think I was going to do. I think in the Ziggs episode of Climb to Master, I mentioned that Riot made this website, and I was like, you know, it's linked down below, go look at it, like, go check it out, but maybe I'll do a video on it, and more people asked for the video than I thought, so we're going to go on it. So basically what it is they kind of say it's a year in review. Now I'm going to guess they're going to do this for every season now. It's actually kind of a nice thing. And basically they just give you a lot of information about you on your account that you log in on the website in the 2016 season. So it's to me it's pretty cool. Now I'm pretty sure it's only a ranked thing. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they would take all the information. Because obviously ranked is kind of where people want to improve the most. But no, it's a pretty good idea, and I recommend you guys to use this. If, you know, again, I did let's say a similar video to this about a week ago that I was making my champion pool, and a lot of people have pointed out that now that the ranked has reset, they don't actually have all the information that I was showing off. So maybe this will help people. So yeah, let's get through it, and we're going to just kind of extrapolate information that's useful, and I will show you guys what is useful information for you, and what is kind of arty-farty you don't really need to worry about. So, firstly, when you log in, you'll probably have a champion just right there and then. I believe, and again, I'm not 100%, but I believe this would be your most played champion, either in ranked or just the season. Gangplank was my most played last season in ranked, therefore Gangplank is right there. But anyway, my most played champion, so yeah, there you go. Well, last season was Gangplank, Karthus, Anivia, Lee Sin, and then Lux. So they were my top 5 played, being one top laner, Gangplank. Again, I do not play him mid. Karthus, Anivia, and Lux mid lane, and Lee Sin top lane. Lee Sin jungle, sorry. Best game by map. So my best game on Summoner's Rift in the season was on Gragas with a KD of 26, and I went 7, 1, and 19 assists. So that's on Summoner's Rift. My best map on the ARAM map was on Severe. My best on Twisted Treeline was on Graves. I do play a little bit of Twisted Treeline, by the way. And there you go. So those are the 3 maps that I played. I guess they don't count Dominion anymore. So there you go. Pentakills. I got my first Penta on the year was with Zed, and I got in the whole season I got 3 Pentakills, 15 quadras, 108 triples, and 508 doubles. There you go. So yeah, my first Penta. I think it was actually in placements, if I recall correctly. I got a Pentakill on placements with him last season. But there we go. Now this one, a lot of people have got it the wrong way, and I am going to be honest, I did the first time I read it. I didn't read it properly. So your besties, the champions in each position that you best synergize with. So these aren't champions you play the best with. These are champions that in a role, if you're just playing in a game of League and you have these champions on your team, you synergize well with these champions. You do well with these champions on your team. Therefore, you probably win more with them. So if I'm playing in League, I do well if a Riven is in my top lane. Yes, I'm surprised with that. I do well if a Nidalee is in my jungle. I do well if there's a Victor in mid. I do well if there's an Ashe in bot lane. And I do well if there's a Sona. The basic way that they would have worked that out is they would have just looked at what is the highest win rate that you play with. Like what other champions on your team, you know, what's the highest percentage. So there you go. I will say I'm a little bit surprised with this information. Mainly the Riven. But part of me thinks, and I think why this is a thing, is if when you look at all of these champions, apart from Riven, what do they all have in common? They kind of all do their own thing, apart from obviously the bot lane, but the Victor is by himself, he does whatever. So if I'm jungling, or if I'm top lane, I'm not going to help Victor a lot. Nidalee, she does her own thing. Bot lane, they're an enclosed bot lane, they do their own thing. Riven is the only champion that I try when at least I'm mid lane or I'm jungle. I know I want to try and help a Riven because there's a lot of reasons why I want to help a Riven, but you know, I help them more than another champion. So maybe I try to get Rivens fed on my team more, therefore I win with them more because I get them fed. That's my only thought of why that could be. So these are champions that you find easy to play against and champions that you just lose against. So I have a 100% win rate against Garen in this season. I would say the only thing is I don't know how many games that is. It would be nice if they said 100% win rate in X amount of games. No idea. And also, I've killed Lucian the most. Not really surprising. Well, it is a bit surprising. You know, I've killed an AD carry the most. Maybe that shows, you know, I do go for AD carries more than any other champion because they're important to kill. But yeah, that there you go. So I've got the most kills from Lucian, but I've also got the most deaths from him. But it's a positive number. I've killed a Lucian more than he's killed me. And then also an interesting thing is last season I did not win a game versus Karthus. So even though Karthus is one of my best champions, and right now in Climb to Master it's not going very well with Karthus, we're currently 0-2 on the champion, I didn't win against him. And again, this information's great, but I want to see how many games there is, and there's nothing I can click to change this information. I just have a percentage. So I win 100% versus Garen, and I lose 0% versus Karthus, or I win 0% versus Karthus, but I don't know how many games that is. That could be 50 games against Garen. It's not going to be that, but that would be amazing. Or if I was only against Karthus once, then it's not a big deal. But I just want that more information would be great. So you can't take a lot from that. So that is one of the kind of arty-farty information that you do not need to care about. What I mean by this is if you see a Karthus, for example, me, on the enemy team, I'm not suddenly going to go, I'm going to lose, because I don't have all the information here. Like, if I actually had the games, that would help me kind of think why I lose against Karthus, but I don't. I have no idea. That could be one game with the 0% win rate. That could be 20. I have no idea. Next information is the squad. So these are just friends that you kind of play with. So my friends Jeebus, Gals, and Kirby. You know, it's not very useful information. If you're wondering what this would have been in, this would have been in ARAM or normal. And then all of it is with Jeebus, so there you go. And then the Huzzy versus the pros. So this is information that you can definitely use. This is very actual useful information. In a certain degree. You know, don't take this as gospel. If you beat Faker or Bjergsen in one of these things, yeah, don't think you're a god, because obviously they play against a lot better opponents than you do. So you've got to kind of, you take it as it is, basically. So my deaths, what I can take from this is I die way too much. In even my deaths, in the grand scheme of things, 5.19, that's quite low, but it's still too much. So I've got to try and work on not dying as much, because obviously these guys, they hardly die ever. That is per game, by the way. That's the average deaths per game. So Bjergsen only averages 1.5 deaths per game. And I know you can't have 1.5 deaths. That's why it's averaged out. Wards, though, again, I'm going to expect if I want to guess what my worst category is going to be in, I don't think many people are going to find it difficult. I think CS is going to be my worst category. But let's go into wards. So again, they beat me. So Faker wards 18.5 wards a game. Bjergsen 13.1. I'm 11. So I do need to ward more. Again, that's useful information that you guys can use. Like 100% useful information. Kills, so here we go. Now this is where some people may take this out of complete content. So yeah, I get more kills than Faker and Bjergsen each game. I'm a god. No, I'm not. So it's useful information, but not that useful information, because what you also have to remember is that when I'm playing, and this Huzzy account, majority of the season was in like Diamond 2, I'm playing against like Diamond 2, Diamond 3 people. So they're going to not be as good as who Faker and Bjergsen go against. So the best way to look at this information is compare the KD. So what I mean by that is, okay, so I get 6.3 kills per game, but I die 5.1. So there's a gap there of like 1.1, you know, roughly, in my kills and deaths. But let's look at the gaps between Faker and Bjergsen. So Faker gets 3.6 kills a game, but he dies 2.1. So his gap is 1.5 roughly, so it's a bigger gap than me. And then also, okay, so Bjergsen dies 1.5 times, and I guess I'm rounding here, 1.5 times a game, but he gets 4.2. So that's the biggest gap. So that's probably the best way to use this information. So that still tells me, even though I get more kills than these people, it doesn't mean that much because I'm still dying. So the gap of how many kills I'm getting compared to my deaths is shorter, is less than both Faker and Bjergsen. So that's what I've got to work on. If it means that I get less kills, but then also my deaths go lower, that's a definite benefit. That's something that I need to look to do. And what would be perfect, obviously, is if I look to decrease my deaths, so that number goes down, but this number stays the same, then that's obviously a big improvement. So that's how you use this information to try and adjust your play. Now, CS is the one that I'm thinking is going to be the worst. So, yeah, awful. So, Faker averages. And again, this is average game. This could be, you know, 20-minute games are taken into account here. 317 CS. And again, I will say these are taken from the summer split. Okay, so this is all these games that we're seeing here. This isn't solo queue for them. This is in their LCS or LCK. So these are professional games. So that might explain why they have such high CS. But 317, 293, 162. So I already know my CS needs to improve, and it's getting there slowly. You know, just playing more, playing every day is improving with that, and playing on my main account I think is going to make a big difference. So yeah, that will go up throughout this season. What will be good is that now I'm making this video, I'll probably come back in a year's time and look at the information at the 2017 season, but it'll be also kind of cool to see how we've improved, because all this video will have the numbers, and then I can see how I've improved in a year. So that's also kind of cool. And then assists. So Faker 5, Bjergsen 6.5, and me 7.8 basically. So my assists are good. You know, that's one thing you can take out is the kills and deaths. Don't take, oh, I get more kills than these guys, because the deaths are also very important. But assists are also kind of nice. That's a positive. If anything, what you could look at this is, what I should be doing is taking less assists and taking even more kills. If I did that, then my gap between my kills and deaths would be even better, and that's something that I could learn from. So overall, it's useful information. Don't think that, you know, I'm better than Faker at getting kills, because again, Faker's playing against the likes of all the other Korean pros, or Bjergsen's playing against all the American pros. You're playing against whoever you're against in solo queue. So it's useful information. You can definitely learn from it, but yeah. Anyway, next part is, this is also a cool little map here. So we're actually going to put colorblind mode on. The reason for it is, by the way, I'm colorblind, but I can see all this, but I'm just doing this for the viewer at home. If somebody's more colorblind than me, then I'm going to enable it for you guys at home. So, killing, warding, and dying. So where do I get majority of my kills, or have got my majority of kills this season? So the best way to use this is a heat map, right? So that's what it is. So the points that it's kind of spotty and there's not a lot going on, I've just got a random kill there throughout the season. But if you look at where the clumps are, so look how much kills happen here, and then also here, in this little line here, and then also around the Dragon Pit. So this whole area around mid lane, it's a pretty busy part, high traffic for getting kills. Obviously the bot lane, and then obviously the top lane. But as somebody like me, as a mid laner, but also last season I played a lot of top, this is intriguing me. It's not the lanes, like again, the lanes is the obvious part to me. It's this part. Because if you notice, this part is basically the identical over here, right? But look how much more like it clumped up all this is here compared to all here. Like, I get so many more kills in this area of the map than the equivalent over here. You could say because this is an easier invade, or junglers have more of a confident time, which is true. But no, that's interesting. Again, you can't take this information like very useful. It's just interesting. That's all it is. Deaths, though, you should be able to take. Again, what you want to find when I'm about to click on deaths is you don't really care about the lanes. The lanes are not important. They're the obvious ones. You want to see where you die the most, where it's not in a lane, basically. So, yeah, I die a lot in the lanes, die a lot in the lanes, die a lot in the lanes. You'll actually notice I actually don't die a lot in bot lane, so that's a good sign. But where is a high signature, or heat signature, that's not in a lane? Well, Baron Pit, there's a bit going on there. There's a bit going near the top lane there. Also a little bit into the enemy base. And then also around the Dragon Pit. So for me, this isn't very useful information, because all of this is kind of obvious. Like, if randomly, and by the way, the way that you can use that information, if randomly, so this is red buff for top side. If there was a massive heat signature around red buff, then you will know, oh, I die too much around red buff. Maybe I should ward it before I do the buff. That's what you can use this information for. Next is assists. So where do I actually get the most assists in the game? So again, fairly standard. I get them in mid lane, majority of the whole map. Like, I could do a circle here and that would cover where I get majority of my assists. Bot lane, quite a few, all the way going into that, like the lane up there. Also in the top lane. So there's, again, not a lot of information you can get from there. It's just kind of cool. And then warding. So where am I good at warding? Where am I weak at warding? This is also a fairly useful heat signature. Because if there is a place on the map that I never ward, then that could be a weakness in my gameplay. So I ward a lot in top lane, I ward a decent amount in mid lane, but one thing to notice, that I've already noticed, is that look how much more clumped up this side of the map is compared to this side of the map. So I can notice right now, I have a tendency to ward the bottom side of mid lane more than the top side of mid lane. So that may be something that I need to improve. That might be something that I need to look out for, is that I'm only warding the bot side. I definitely need to still ward the top side. So that's useful information. Another one, if you look actually really closely here near the bot lane, you can see that I've never placed a ward in this area here. Maybe it's not that important, but it's a gap. You know, that there's a gap there that a jungler could potentially, like if you look right there, there's the wall of like the you know, flashing over. A jungler could flash in there and I don't have any vision of them. So that is also a weakness whenever I'm bot lane. So there you go. That's all useful information. Take it as you will. Some people will find it useful, some people won't. Let's move on to the Mighty Jungle. So the section is dark and full of terrors. So I've killed 203 Barons this season, and the earliest Baron taken was 211 seconds. Yes, 11 seconds after the Baron spawned. So obviously we were very fed, and we were just waiting to do the Baron as soon as it spawned. I killed nearly 90,000 minions, and I got executed by the jungle 12 times. Now, I first was very shocked by this number, and I did look into it a little bit. This does not mean, technically, that you'll have executed come up on the map, because the reason I know this is my friend, I think Gals, he had 10 executes, and he has never been killed by the jungle. He has never been executed. So, the way that we think this is working is if you get killed by an enemy champion, but if the jungle is the last thing to hit you. So, example, you're running away and you're very low health from an enemy champion, and somebody aggroes Gromp, the toad, and then the toad spits at you and you get killed. Even though the enemy champion technically gets the kill, the jungle has executed you. Or if Baron executes you, I have died to Baron a couple times, let's be honest. Even though, say, someone on the enemy team has done all the damage, Baron has finished me off. So stuff like that I think counts to the execute. So yeah, don't take that number like crazy. Most killed dragon, Infernal. That's not surprising. I think everybody likes to kill the Infernals. But the numbers do seem kind of close, let's be honest. So they are 25% Infernal, 24% air. I think that's air, or is that water? Again, I'm terrible with knowing because my eyes. I think that could be water, or that's water. Either or, they're both at 24-23% respectively, and 22% mountain. That's surprising. Maybe I just don't get a lot of mountains, but mountain, you know, the order of how good these dragons are. Okay, Elder Dragon is the most, was the best, then Infernal, then Mountain, arguably, and then whatever the one that you need. Air or water, they're kind of level depending what your team comp is. But there you go, that's again not really surprising. Abilities used with Gangplank, so here they probably take your most played champion and what you do with it. So I used Gangplank Q nearly 14,000 times. I used his W only 1,260, his E 7.4, and his ultimate 607. So actually not that much, to be honest. Again, I only think I played roughly 60, 70 games of Gangplank in ranked this season. Again, I'm not a massive... A lot of people don't understand. I'm not a massive ranked player, or haven't been for years. I've only kind of topped out around 400 ranked games a season the last couple seasons, which is not a lot of games. Where this season, I probably will be aiming for over 1k games on my main account. Like, I'm proper going into it this season. So all these stats will definitely go up next season. How do I queue? So, yeah, there you go. Ranked is obviously what I play. After that, it's ARAM, then normal, hardly, normal Twisted Tree Line. I don't even know why that's there. And then I never played a ranked Twisted Tree Line in the season. My most played was Mage at 38%, and then Fighter at 35%, and then a Marksman at 10.9%, and then Assassin at 7.7%. Tank at 6.1, and finally Support at 2.2. So I'm a ranked player. That's fairly obvious. That mainly plays mages and fighters, so that's again not hard. Now here is another, I'd say, important part. So this is one that some people are like, should I actually take this seriously or not? So the way that they are doing this, Riot must have a system in place that they have linking champions. So, okay, so Lissandra, so let's go with this example. Who is she like? Okay, so she's kind of like Anivia, she's kind of like Victor, she's kind of like Lux. there's a few of similarities with all these champions. Oh, you play these champions? Oh, Lissandra will be good for you. Like, that's this system. So, again, do not take this like gospel. Do not be like, I have to pick up Lissandra now because Riot told me. No, they're just recommending it because there are similar champions that you are playing to these champions. So, Lissandra is similar to Renivia, Victor, etc. because she is a mage. She does AoE damage, and she has CC, so those are probably the parameters that kind of is telling Riot Lissandra might be good for me. If we go over to the right, Caitlyn, basic AD carry, and then finally Bard. Then jungling is Kindred, and then top lane, and here's one that Darius, nah. Darius is not for me. I've done quite poor on Darius this season, so I don't exactly know why they're recommending it. If they're going off KD at all and statistics, then they'd never recommend Darius to me, and that's why I say don't take this as like 100% gospel, because if anybody looked at my profile, they would never recommend Darius to me because he just does not fit with me. So the only reason I would think that they're recommending Darius to me is because I played a lot of Gangplank, and Darius and Gangplank are kind of in the same group, I'd say, of champions in a way, of top lane. So that's probably why. The Kindred is interesting to me. I'm not really a big Kindred player. I've played a bit of her, but it's interesting because, I have played similar champions to her, Graves jungle, Lee Sin jungle, who are high aggression, high damage champions, and just playing those two, Lee Sin and Graves, that's maybe why they're recommending Kindred, because it's basically a combination of the two. So no, that's kind of cool information, and I think that's pretty much it. It is. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've learned a little bit how to use this information to your own benefit. Again, don't take all of it completely seriously. Just have a little bit of fun with it and experiment and see how well you're doing. But that's going to be it for the extra video of the day. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, 2 commentaries a day. Will be back tomorrow. And yeah, if you liked this video and you want me to do more kind of off-the-wall videos, please throw a like on it. If I don't know, we get like over 1,000 likes on this video, which is unlikely, then maybe I'll look to do more of these type of videos that kind of just teaching you not just how to play the game of League, but actually how to become a League player. Like, being a League player isn't just logging in and playing the game, it's knowing all this information and knowing how to use this information. So that's going to be it. So like it, subscribe, see you guys next time. See ya.